Hi guys, welcome to my channel Creatively Expressive. My name is Amy and today I'm sharing the first of a series of 3 upcoming videos featuring farmhouse style home decor DIYs. I've got some really cute ideas for you, so I hope you'll stick around to see them all. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad you found me and I hope you consider becoming a part of my creative family by subscribing to my channel. And if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back, and I just want to say that I really do appreciate your continued support. Now let's get started. So for project number 1, I am using this large house-shaped sign that is originally from Kirkland's, but I found it at Goodwill for $1.49. Now this sign is cute as it is, but we're a family of 5, not 4, so it doesn't really work for my family. And besides, unless I am super in love with something, I like to DIY things I get at the Goodwill. So the back of this sign was already coming off of the frame, so I decided to just remove it completely to make it easier to paint. So I'm just using my heat gun and a razor blade to help me pry the rest of the back away from the frame. Once I have that back piece removed, I'm going to use my power sander to sand away the lettering just so it's easier to paint and I don't have to use as many coats. Now I'm going to paint that back piece with white chalk paint. And then I'm going to let that dry and work on the frame. I wanted it to be a darker, more muted color, so I decided to stain it with a mixture of Cafe Noir chalk paint and water. So I'm just going to brush on that watered down paint and then wipe it off with a paper towel. Now we're going to let that frame dry and add grain sack style stripes to the sign. So first I'm just marking a tiny mark in the middle of the sign to help me place my tape. And now I am going to take painter's tape and fold it in half, non-sticky sides together, and pinch it so I can line up the middle of the tape with that tiny pencil mark on my sign. And I'm going to put that painter's tape right down the center of my sign. Once I have done that, I am going to take a thinner masking tape and put a piece of that on either side of the painter's tape. After sticking down the first piece, I decide to leave a small space between the masking tape and the painter's tape on both sides. Now I remove the center piece of tape and I'm going to paint over the center area with white chalk paint first to seal in the edges of the tape to prevent any bleed through. Once the white paint is dry, I'm going to paint over that center area with this French linen chalk paint. I'm going to just do 1 coat and I'm going to go kind of light because I want it to look distressed. Once the paint is dry, I'm going to sand it a little to make it even more distressed. And then I'll remove my tape. Now that I have my center line, I am going to add 2 more pieces of tape to both sides of that center stripe to make 2 skinnier lines. And now I'm just going to do the same thing that I did with that center line. Paint on a layer of white chalk paint first, let it dry, then paint on a thin layer of that French linen chalk paint and let that dry, and then sand my lines lightly and remove my tape. And now I am taking this 8-inch MDF letter T I got from Walmart for about $2, and I'm going to paint it with this Cafe Noir chalk paint. Once the paint has dried, I am going to sand down the edges to distress it a little bit. And now I'm going to use this thick Starbond super glue to glue the frame back onto my picture. And now I'm going to take some white finishing wax and brush it on my letter T, and then wipe it off with a baby wipe to give it a little more of an aged look. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my entire sign and the frame. And once that wax is dry, I'm going to use a combination of gel super glue and hot glue to attach my letter T to my sign. And now the sign is complete. What do you guys think? Now for project number 2, I'm taking this chalkboard sign that I got from Goodwill for $4.49 and making it over for my mom. So my mom liked the sign with the drawer, but she didn't want the chalkboard. She just wanted it to have a pretty saying on it. My mom is a huge country fan, so I decided to go with a quote from the song Life's a Dance by John Michael Montgomery. So first I'm going to take the sign apart, and when I do that, I discover that the chalkboard is actually a separate metal piece, so I decide to remove that and save it for another project. And then I sand the entire thing just a bit, and then clean it up. Now I am going to take this color mushroom chalk paint and paint the entire outer piece and also the drawer with that. Once that's done, I am going to mix some of that mushroom color with this desert tan chalk paint color to get a lighter shade of brown, and then I'm going to lightly dry brush that color over the entire piece and the drawer. And now I'm going to take more of that mushroom color and mix it with a little of that Cafe Noir color to get a darker shade of brown. And then lightly dry brush that over the entire piece also. And I did this because I like how it adds texture and dimension to the piece. Now I'm going to paint the back side of that centerpiece white. I'm painting the back side because when I removed the metal from it, it messed up the MDF a bit, and also this way I don't have to worry about the back of my sign being red. And now I'm going to paint that little drawer knob with Cafe Noir just because the original paint wasn't looking so hot. And now I cut out that Life's a Dance quote on Stencil Vinyl with my silhouette cameo, and I'm going to use transfer tape to apply it to my sign. Once I have my stencil applied, I'm going to paint over it first with the original white color to seal in the edges of the stencil to prevent bleed through, and then when it's dry, go back over it with the Cafe Noir color. And then I'm going to peel up my stencil. At this point, I decide I want the wording to look distressed. So I sand them with my finger sander, but when I do this, it makes the area around my wording look dirty. So then I decide the whole white area needs to look that way, so that it looks like it was always supposed to look that way. So I take my Cafe Noir and I very lightly dry brush over the entire sign. I dip my brush in my paint and then I tap it on my paper plate until just barely any paint remains on the brush. And then I brush it over the sign. And I just keep doing this until I'm happy with the look. And now all that's left to do is reassemble the sign. Also, I didn't show it, but after it was all assembled, I took the sign outside and I sprayed it with some spray Mod Podge sealer, and that's it. What do you guys think? And now for our third and last project, I'm using two of these long cutout signs from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be cutting that pumpkin cutout area off and cutting these down to 18 inches long. I am also going to cut each sign in half lengthwise. going to attach all 4 cut pieces together by gluing these jumbo craft sticks from Walmart to the back of the sign using a combination of wood glue and hot glue. I am also making this sign for my mom, and it's going to be paired with another sign I made last year in a previous video. Some of you may remember it. It's the sign with the windmill on it. For those of you who haven't seen it yet, I'll post a link to that video in the description box below. So now I'm going to be making a frame for this sign using the jumbo paint stir sticks. You can get these at Lowe's and also Home Depot. So I'm going to cut down 2 of the sticks to the length of the top and the bottom of the sign, and the other 2 to fit between those top and bottom frame pieces. Now I'm going to paint my frame pieces with black chalk paint. And then I'm going to use a combination of wood glue and hot glue to attach my frame pieces to my picture. You want to attach the top piece first, then the side pieces, and then lastly the bottom piece. And now I use my Silhouette Cameo to cut out a John Denver quote, again, to go with that sign I made last year, which also featured a John Denver song quote. And I also cut out a barn and silo SVG that I purchased on Etsy in black vinyl. And now I'm using transfer tape and parchment paper to transfer first the quote and then the barn and silo to my sign. Using the parchment paper allows you to get your decals centered and where you want them before they are stuck on your sign. Once you have it placed where you want it, just pull the parchment paper away. And now that I have my decals placed, the last thing I'm going to do is use a razor blade to cut my vinyl in the area where there are gaps between each piece of wood on my sign. You could also use an X-Acto knife to do this. And also, I didn't show it, but I used Mod Podge spray sealer to seal my sign. And that's it, guys. What do you guys think? Let me know which one of these projects was your favorite. I think my favorite was the first house shape sign with the T. Maybe because that's the one that I'm keeping for myself. But let me know what your guys' favorite was. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope it's inspired you. If you did enjoy the DIYs that I've shared with you today, then please show me some love by giving me a thumbs up, commenting, or even sharing this video with anyone that you think might enjoy it. And I hope you guys have a great day and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!